you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you have to be able to make big decisions quickly and be decisive and commanding in making those decisions. Think about every successful person you've ever known. Those people have made huge decisions and taken risks and been comfortable with the decisions that they made in order to move and mobilize a whole team towards it. And if you are not able to do that, I've seen people become paralyzed in no decision making and not be able to achieve anything great because they just can't make decisions and they get stuck in maybes for indefinitely and never really achieve anything. I'm an entrepreneur that has had to learn to make extremely big visionary decisions with calculated risk quickly in a way that has navigated my company to success. So the funny thing is I've gotten really good at making, the big decisions of my life. The very big things that I've made a decision about have always been easy for me and aligned with my core purpose, like who I was going to marry, that I was going to go into real estate, moving to Nashville. The bigger milestone decisions of my life have been easy. But for a long time, I used to just agonize over the really, really small ones. Like, I'm even still sometimes will just take forever to choose something to order at a restaurant or, get over analytical about the super, super small things. And it's something that I remember my dad said, he used to tell me, just go make a decision already. Even if you make the wrong decision, get into action and make a decision. Obviously, it could end up being wrong down the road, and foresight's 2020, but make the best rational decision you can with the information that you have in the time and move forward. Because even if you end up having to take a step back, at least you are moving forward, as opposed to so many people that just don't do anything and get caught in inaction because they can't make a decision. Every project that I've started has been a huge amount of risk. When I go and do a deal, it's over $50 million. I'm signing up for a personal guarantee on that loan. I'm putting my own capital into it. I'm raising investor capital, and there's a huge amount of risk involved. And so when I make that decision, it's an extremely important one to move forward with a deal. Especially now with the sizes of my projects, they're usually over 50 to 100 million or so. And I have to have a lot of conviction about the decisions that I make because I am placing a lot of capital at risk. I'm risking my time for the next 4 to 5 years. I'm risking the livelihood of everyone that works for me and with me. I'm risking my track record when I get into a deal. So I have to have a lot of conviction around these bigger decisions. And mainly, it's do I do this project or not? So, the first thing that I ask myself when it's time to make a big decision is, can I see this vision playing out into reality in the future? Like, how is this going to play out? When I make a real estate decision, it's going to be 4 or 5 years down the road. Does the overall project or venture or thing that I'm, or person I'm hiring fit within that vision of what I want my future to be? That's the first thing I ask myself. The second thing I ask myself is, does this align with my core purpose for why I'm doing what I'm doing? If I was only here to just make money or buy something for $1 and sell it for $2, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. It's not worth the level of risk and that I take as a real estate investor. I am here to build a company and build a product that is different than what's offered in real estate, give investors financial freedom, do all of these things that are part of my vision that is different. So if whatever I'm getting involved in, if the person I'm hiring or the deal that I'm doing or the investor that I'm partnering with doesn't align with that core purpose, then I don't do it. And those two things they first occur with intuition. You know those things before you've had the time to run all the numbers and do the analysis. That part comes later and is extremely important. But trusting your intuition on those two things or on a decision a big decision is extremely important. And even when I made a bad decision and I did not trust my gut is when I look back. Like, you have a intuition as an entrepreneur, you have a gut feeling that you have to listen to before you get involved in something that's going to be a big commitment or make a big decision that will change your life. So after you make a really big decision, you need to do all the research to understand how you execute on that decision and look at all of the data that backs that up and make sure that, you're validating everything, because you can't make a decision and then discover something about the market or the market changing and be so stuck on the decision that you made that you can't unmake it, because a lot of people go underwater that way by just being stuck in their decision and not being willing to change their mind, right? So I do a lot of research and data, and I actually have people that are a lot better even at pulling research than I am in an unbiased way, so that I can support the decision that I made to go into something. I've wanted to, I've believed in the vision of certain type of real estate or, wellness communities for a long time, but it doesn't mean that the data backs that up or is going to support it right now. On the other hand, I can use data to really help me develop what the next asset class or the next project I should do is dictated by. A lot of people don't really look at data, and they just sort of base their investment decisions on precedent and what happened in the past and what everyone else is investing in. And a lot of times what everyone else is investing in becomes saturated, and there's not a lot of opportunity, and it becomes a very efficient market. So the way that I've effectively gotten comfortable with my decisions is by actually looking at information and not just listening and pulling the data on how to back it up, as opposed to just, listening to headlines and kind of going along with everyone else is saying. I actually look at the data to see what the right decision is to make, not just do what everyone else is doing or listen to whatever's happening in the market. It's really important when you are making a decision that's going to be aligned with your vision or purpose for whatever your entrepreneurial journey is, or whatever you're trying to achieve in your company or your career, is that you do look into the future and you make decisions that complement that align with that, and not just do the same thing that you've been doing or that the market's doing or that everybody else is doing. When you don't have a sense of innovation in what you're doing, or you're not willing to do the research and roll up your sleeves, you don't really achieve anything or achieve any alpha returns. I look at where would I be in 5 years where I would be super excited about that. And there's been times where I haven't been able to see that. And it's been the times in my life, even when I've had a lot of money or been super, successful, when I don't have that vision of working towards something, I'm actually a pretty miserable person. And my husband jokes that, I'm either have a gun to my head trying to get something funded and I'm super stressed out, or I'm completely bored because that's not the case and miserable. So I think that it's about really making sure that you have that, when you're making decisions and you have that vision of the future that you're working towards, think what would make you excited about working towards this for the next 3 or 4 or 5 years. What would make you capable of overcoming an extreme amount of obstacles, and make decisions in that direction, as opposed to, not making decisions that are really moving you forward and pushing you into the future. So you have to be able to make decisions, big decisions, and be confident in them and not become paralyzed by indecision. Indecision and being stuck in maybes can stop forward progress. And I think that it's really important, even if you end up making a wrong decision, to make that decision and keep moving forward towards your future, than be stuck in a maybe about something. And one thing I like to do is look at my life and look if there's any areas of it, whether it be your family or friends or vacations you want to plan or big decisions you have at work. Where is there any maybes lying out there that you need to make a decision on? Is it yes or is it no? And instantly when you start doing that, you'll start feeling better about, you'll start seeing progress in your goals, and things will start happening in your life because you're really getting into action on something. So you have to be willing to get in there and make the decision, right or wrong, and start looking at your life and seeing, where do I have maybes that I can turn into yeses or nos or goes or stops and make decisions. I hope this gets you making more decisions. And if you want to hear more about my entrepreneurial journey and overcoming crazy obstacles, watch this next video.